Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a video I said I wouldn't do, which is to talk about even more of my anticipated 2021 releases. I have previously done two videos just on sapphic book releases, and I said after the second one, I won't do any more. I've done a lot, no one needs to hear any more from me. But then I remembered how many other queer books I wanted to read, and so I did a little Twitter poll, and Twitter said I could do it, and so here we are, with even more 2021 releases I'm excited for. So this is, I think, all queer books, and we've got a mix of genres, of rep, and I'm just very, very excited for all of these titles. Just this list is not an exhaustive list of all the books I'm looking forward to. I have got over 100 books already on my radar, and I don't know how I'm going to read all of those. And oh, 2021 looks like it's going to be the best year for books. I genuinely cannot wait for this stupid year to be over so we can get started on those. So I'm just going to get started in this. I have got more titles than I had in my previous videos. I've got 25. So I'm going to try and talk about them just a bit less so this video is not stupidly long. And also because I have a class starting in less than an hour because I have not got very good time management. So yeah, I'm going to do this in order of UK release dates, and the release dates I tell you will be UK ones. So the first book we've got is When Tara Met Farah by Tara Pami, which comes out on the 26th of January. Similar to my previous videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the synopsis for those that have a synopsis available, and then give some of my thoughts, some tropes or things I found out from the author's Twitter, things like that. So the synopsis is Sunshine Girl needs math lessons. 19-year-old Tara Muvala didn't mean to lead a double life, but her bone-deep aversion to math and a soul-deep desire to please her mother equals her failing math grade and exploding food vlog, this masala life. Enter her mother's research intern and resident math genius Farah Ahmed. Tara makes a deal with Farah. Help her pass her math course and she'll welcome Farah into the local Bollywood drama and dance society. Grumpy Girl gets a life lesson. After losing her mom to a heart attack, dumping her small-minded boyfriend, who's bisexual, not confused, and reluctantly moving to the US to be near her dad, all in the span of 18 months, 23-year-old Farah has hit the full quota on life. Two things keep her going: her internship with a brilliant statistics professor and the possibility of meeting her dancing idol through the Bollywood Drama and Dance Society. That is, if her new hot mess housemate will let her. Soon Tara and Farah are bonding over chicken biryani, dancing to Bollywood beats at midnight and kissing, against all odds. And maybe beginning to realise that while life's even more complicated than math, love is one variable that changes everything. Will they realise that together they have the recipe for a happily ever after? So this is a new adult romance kind of book, and I'm so happy. We need so much more new adult, and I'm so happy that we're getting to see some. So this is obviously sapphic, it is FF, and it is the sunshine and grumpy trope, which is one of my all-time favourites. I'm loving this so much. So it's the first in a series called Bollywood Drama and Dance Society, so I'm assuming this will be from different couples' perspectives of members of the society, and that the society and their culture is going to play quite a big role in this book, which I am loving. It seems like so much fun. I'm just so very, very excited for this. I love my sapphics. So the next book we've got is Yesterday is History by Kosoko Jackson, which comes out on the 2nd of February in the UK. I'm so excited for this one. I only found out about it yesterday when I was researching, but it's shot right up to one of my most anticipated releases. So the synopsis is, weeks ago, Andrew Cobb received a much-needed liver transplant. He's ready for his life to finally begin until one night when he passes out and wakes up somewhere totally unexpected, in 1969, where he connects with a magnetic boy named Michael. And then, just as suddenly as he arrived, he slips back to present-day Boston, where the family of his donor is waiting to explain that his new liver came with a side effect, the ability to time travel. And they've tasked their youngest son, Blake, with teaching Andre how to use his unexpected new gift. Andre splits his time bouncing between the past and future, between Michael and Blake. Michael's everything Andre wishes he could be, and Blake, still reeling from the death of his brother, Andre's donor, keeps him at arm's length, despite their obvious attraction to each other. Torn between two boys, one in the past and one in the present, Andre has to figure out where he belongs, and more importantly, who he wants to be, before the consequences of jumping in time catch up to him and change his future for good. So, I love a love triangle. They're one of my favourite tropes. They just come to so much drama and angst and pining, and I love that so much. So I'm very, very excited to see that play out in this book. And as I said in one of my previous anticipated releases videos, I really love books set in the latter half of the 20th century, particularly exploring queer culture in that context, and I'm very excited to see how this book deals with that setting. I think it can be an awful lot of fun. I've read a short story from this author, which was in the Out Now Queer We Go Again anthology, and I really, really enjoyed it and enjoyed the writing style, so I'm very excited to see how this author tackles a full-length novel. The next book I've got is Can't Take That Away by Stephen Salvatore, which comes out on the 9th of March. This has only got a very tiny synopsis so far. So this book is about Carrie Parker, a genderqueer teen who dreams of being a diva like their hero Mariah Carey. When they're cast as the female lead in the school musical, they must fight against discrimination and injustice from their closed-minded school administration. I mean, it's a short synopsis, but it's all you need. It sounds incredible. I'm so excited to read this. So a genderqueer main character. You do not see very many genderqueer characters, and I love that we're finally getting some. And they use they them pronouns, also love that. And then musical theatre and activism, and whew, that the author actually said on Twitter that they lead their school in protest against queerphobia, and I just love this tackling of queerphobia and transphobia that you'll see in a few of these books alongside such fun stories. I don't know, yes. It's all I want. It sounds very, very good, very, very fun, and I'm so excited to read it. I'm so excited for all of these. The issue about doing this video is I just feel sad that I can't read them all right now because I want to so badly. The next book I've got is Between Perfect and Real by Ray Stove, which comes out on the 15th of April. This one's got a fairly short synopsis as well. A moving YA debut about a trans boy finding his voice and himself. Dean Foster knows he's a trans guy. He's watched enough YouTube videos and done enough questioning to be sure. But everyone at his high school thinks he's a lesbian, including his girlfriend Zoe and his theatre director who just cast him as a non-traditional Romeo. He wonders if maybe it'd be easier to wait until college to come out, but as he plays Romeo every day in rehearsals, Dean realises he wants everyone to see him as he really is. Now, not just on the stage, but everywhere in his life. Dean knows what he needs to do. Can playing a role help Dean be his true self? So I'm sensing a theatre theme in some of these, loving it. I am not a theatre guy. It's never really appealed to me, but I love reading about this and I'm just so excited. Yeah, I don't have much to say specifically about this. I couldn't find much more information, but I'm so excited. I'm loving how many trans books we're getting next year. I feel like the amount and the rate at which we're getting them, especially from bigger publishers and traditional publishing, is just incredible, and I'm very, very happy to see this. The next book we've got is Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee, which comes out on the 4th of May. This sounds so good. The author's done a few Twitter threads that have just got me beyond excited. If you're interested in this book, I really, really recommend looking up the author's Twitter and following him. He has done so many threads on the book and some of the rep and things, and it's just got me so much more excited. So the synopsis is: Felix Ever After meets Becky Albertalli in a swoon-worthy, heartfelt rom-com about how a transgender teen's first love challenges his ideas about perfect relationships. Noah Ramirez thinks he's an expert on romance. He has to be for his popular blog, The Meet Cute Diary, a collection of trans happily ever afters. There's just one problem: all the stories are fake. What started as the fantasies of a trans boy afraid to step out of the closet has grown into a beacon of hope for trans readers across the globe. When a troll exposes the blog as fiction, Noah's world unravels. The only way to save the diary is to convince everyone that the stories are true, but he doesn't have any proof. Then Drew walks into Noah's life, and the pieces fall into place. Drew is willing to fake date Noah to save the diary, but when Noah's feelings grow beyond their staged romance, he realizes that dating in real life isn't quite the same as finding love on page. In this charming novel by Emery Lee, Noah will have to choose between following his own rules for love or discovering that the most romantic endings are the ones that go off script. This just sounds so fun and heartwarming and charming and just gloriously queer, and so excited. So in this book, it is just absolutely packed full of rep. You've got so many characters of colour. I think all or almost all of them are. You've got a trans and bi main character, non-binary ace and lesbian side characters, and you've also got a whole heap of fun tropes, and I love it. So from the author's Twitter, it's got fake dating, meet cutes, hate to love, forced proximity, and a happily ever after. And it's also got platonic love, siblings, gender exploration, dad jokes, and a coffee shop aesthetic. And I don't know, this book, it just sounds like such a fun time. Just the cutest, sweetest, warmest thing. Absolutely perfect. I really, really cannot wait to pick this up. The next book I've got is Blackheart Nights by Laura Eve, which comes out on the 13th of May. This had a synopsis yesterday, but it has disappeared. So I'll do my best approximation. Maybe that went up too early or something. Oh, who knows? But the synopsis that was up was just so good. I really, really cannot wait to read this book, okay? So this is this kind of gritty, modern, urban fantasy Camelot Arthurian retelling set in like a Gotham City-esque kind of city. And you've got knights riding around on motorbikes instead of horses, in leather with swords. And you've got your magic, your fantastical elements, but also like electric trains, TV, urban wastelands, dive bars, all of these gritty city things. It's sexy and violent and queer, and did I mention swords? This book is apparently incredibly queer, but I don't actually know anything about specific rep yet. But the synopsis is enough to have me desperate to pick this up. I really, really cannot wait. I love this blend, this meeting of fantasy and gritty urbanness. I think that you can do a lot of cool, fun things with that, and I'm very excited to see how the author tackles it. The next book we've got is May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Eller, which comes out on the 18th of May. So for the synopsis, a trans boy enters a throwdown battle for the title of Homecoming King with the boy he dumped last summer. Jeremy Harkis, cheer captain and student body president, won't let coming out as a transgender boy ruin his senior year. Instead of bowing to the bigots and outdated school administration, Jeremy decides to make some noise. And how better than by challenging his all-star ex-boyfriend, Lucas, for the title of Homecoming King. Lucas Rivers, football star and head of the homecoming committee, is just trying to find order in his life after his older brother's funeral and the loss of his long-term girlfriend, who turned out to be a boy. But when Jeremy threatens to break his heart and steal his crown, Lucas kickstarts a plot to sabotage Jeremy's campaign. When both boys take their rivalry too far, the dance is on the verge of being cancelled. To save homecoming, they'll have to face the hurt they're both hiding and the lingering butterflies they can't deny. So this again, just so much trans joy and just that little bit of challenging the system and the bigotry in it, and oh, I cannot wait. So from the author's Twitter, just a bit about tropes. You've got 6 foot of ego in 152 trans boy, a handsome jock angsting over everything, politics, so much, and a milkshake. I'm intrigued by this milkshake. So this is basically lovers to enemies to lovers again, perhaps. And I'm very, very excited to read this. The next one is probably my most anticipated release, and that is Not My Problem by Kira Smith, which comes out on the 25th of May. Do I even need to explain why I'm excited for this one? Okay, helpful hint, Kira Smith is the author of the Falling in Love montage. And if you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that I never shut up about the Falling in Love montage. It is one of my all-time favourites. So I am very, very, very excited to pick this one up. Aideen has plenty of problems she can't fix. Her best and only friend is pulling away, her mother's drinking problem is a constant concern. She's even running out of outlandish diseases to fake so she can skip PE. But when Aideen stumbles on her nemesis, overachiever Maeve Kowalski, in the midst of a full-blown meltdown, she sees a problem that, unlike her own disaster of a life, seems refreshingly easy to solve. Maeve is desperate to escape her crushing pile of extracurriculars. Aideen volunteers to help, by pushing Maeve down the stairs. Problem solved. Maeve's sprained ankle is the perfect excuse to ditch her overwhelming schedule. But when another student learns about their little scheme and brings Aideen another client who needs her help, it kicks off a semester of traded favours, ill-advised hijinks, and an unexpected chance at love. Fixing other people's problems won't fix her own, but it might be the push she needs to start. Ah, this sounds so good! I'd read anything Kira writes, but like, this sounds amazing. More lesbians, more rom-comming, just and more depth as well. Like the falling in love montage is very much a rom-com, but you had a lot of depth when exploring Saoirse's family and some other responsibilities. And this looks like this book is also going to have that depth, and very excited to read that as well. Me and Nadine, I've already bonded to her because I too am a lesbian who hates BE. The next book we've got is The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver, which comes out on the 1st of June. So Mason Deaver wrote I Wish You All the Best, and I loved this book so much. Instant 5 stars, it just sucked me in, wouldn't let me go. It's incredible, so I would very much read almost anything from this author. And this next book, The Ghost We Keep, sounds quite different, but also very good. Perfect for fans of Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli, this book will rip your heart out before showing you how to heal from tragedy and celebrate life in the process. When Liam Cooper's older brother Ethan is killed in a hit and run, Liam has to not only learn to face the world without one of the people he loved the most, but also face the fading relationship with his two best friends. Feeling more alone and isolated than ever, Liam finds himself sharing time with Marcus, Ethan's best friend, and through Marcus, Liam finds the one person that seems to know exactly what they're going through, for the better and the worse. This book is about grief, but it's also why we live, why we have to keep moving on, and why we should. So you've once again got a non-binary main character, but this time you've got Liam who uses both he and they pronouns. And honestly, this book, it's just going to rip my heart out, but hopefully it sounds like it's going to have a bit of an uplifting message, so it will put my heart back, hopefully. Please don't hurt me too much, Mason. But yeah, even if this book doesn't decide to put my heart back, I still think I'm going to enjoy it so much, just with Mason Deaver's writing. It's just amazing, and I really cannot wait to pick this one up. And next up, we've got Trouble Girls by Julia Lynn Rubin, which also comes out on the 1st of June. Listen, I've got like 7 books on my list that come out on this date. My wallet, it's going to be suffering, okay? So this one has quite a long synopsis, so bear with. Queer YA #MeToo reimagining of Velma and Louise with aesthetic of Riverdale. When Trixie picks up her best friend Lux for their weekend getaway, she's looking to escape for a little while, to forget the despair of being trapped in their dead-end Rust Belt town, and the daunting responsibility of caring for her ailing mother. The girls are packing light, a supply of Diet Coke for Lux, and her 89 Canon to help her frame the world in a sunnier light. Half a pack of cigarettes for Trixie, that she doesn't really smoke, and a knife, one she's just hanging onto for a friend that she's never used before. But a single night of violence derails their trip and will forever change the course of the girls' lives, as they go from ordinary high schoolers to wanted fugitives. Trying to stay ahead of the cops and a hellscape of media attention, the girls grapple with an unforgiving landscape, rapidly diminishing supplies, and disastrous decisions at every turn. As they're transformed by the media into the face of a #MeToo movement they didn't ask to lead, and the road before them begins to run out, Trixie and Lux realise that they can only rely on each other, and that the love they find together is the one thing that truly makes them free. In rushing, powerful prose, Julia Lynn Rubin takes readers on a blistering, unapologetic thrill ride that will leave them haunted and reeling. Trouble Girls is a powerful, beautifully written gut punch. So this book is one that sounds like it's going to have quite heavy topics, but that it's going to be just incredible. So it's a sapphic Velma and Louise retelling set in the modern day with discussions of rape culture. And I have a couple of snippets of the book that I found on the author's Twitter that have just got me so beyond hype. This is just the type of characters I love. I cannot wait to read them. So first we've got, there are girls like us waiting in the wings. Girls with knives on their fingers and razor blades for teeth. And the second one, this is purgatory played to a soundtrack of pop music. And these lines, they're just incredible. I just want a book full of these lines. I cannot wait for this to come out, and so I can read a book full of these lines. It sounds like this is going to be incredibly powerful, and I'm very excited to read it. I feel so repetitive just saying I'm so excited to read this for all of them, but like, that's the point of the video. The next book we've got is The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer, which is also a 1st of June release. The synopsis is 2 boys alone in space. After the first settler on Titan trips her distress signal, Neither remaining country on Earth can afford to scramble a rescue of its own, and so two sworn enemies are installed on the same spaceship. Ambrose wakes up on the coordinated endeavour, with no memory of a launch. There's more that doesn't add up. Evidence indicates strangers have been on board, the ship's operating system is voiced by his mother, and his handsome brooding shipmate has barricaded himself away. But nothing will stop Ambrose from making his mission succeed, not when he's rescuing his own sister. In order to survive the ship's secrets, Ambrose and Kodiak will need to work together and learn to trust one another, especially once they discover what they're truly up against. Love might be the only way to survive. And I will not lie, I added this book to my TBR for the cover, but like, the synopsis is also incredible, so it's a win-win. So you've got a sentient spaceship. Oh, by the way, I have a burn on my hand, that's what that mark is. You've got gays, you've got enemies to lovers, you've got this mystery thriller sci-fi hybrid, and oh, it just sounds so good. I really cannot wait. I feel like there'd just be such tension and high stakes in the situation where these two enemies are together on a ship, and realizing that the ship's maybe not as friendly as it should be, that it's maybe turned against them a bit. I feel like that'd be so just high stakes, so dramatic, intense, and interesting to read, and I really just cannot wait to pick it up. The next book we've got is The Unpopular Vote by Jasper Sanchez. This is yet another 1st of June release. Vaseline on the teeth makes a smile shine. It's a cheap stunt, but Mark Adams knows it's optics that can win or ruin an election. Everything Mark learned about politics, he learned from his father, the congressman who still pretends he has a daughter and not a son. To protect his father's image, Mark promises to keep his past hidden and pretend to be the cis guy everyone assumes he is. But when he sees a manipulatively charming candidate for student body president in Flame Dangerous Rhetoric, Mark decides to risk the low profile he assured his father and insert himself as a political challenger. One big problem, no one really knows Mark. He didn't grow up in this town and he has few friends. Plus, the ones he does have aren't exactly in the in crowd. Still, thanks to countless seasons of scandal in the West Wing, these nerds know where to start. From campaign stops to voter polling to a fashion makeover. Soon Mark feels emboldened to get in front of and engage with voters, and even start a new romance. But with an investigative journalist digging into his past, a father trying to silence him, and a bully frontrunner who stands in his way, Mark will have to decide which matters most, perception or truth, when both are just as dangerous. So we've got another trans main character and some of this politics and activism that we've seen in some of the other books. So although this book obviously has a much more heavy emphasis on politics, it's actually been comped to Red, White and Royal Blue. This synopsis doesn't mention too much about the romance, but I did find a bit on Twitter. So this is like a Reddit Our Relationships post from the point of view of the love interest. I, 18M, have a crush on my sister's friend, 17M, who probably didn't know I existed until last week when we ran into each other in my therapist's waiting room. But now he's running for student body president, and he keeps asking me for help. How do I know if he's interested in me or just the campaign? Plus, an anxious Jewish boy pining after a charismatic bipolar boy. And you know what? This sounds so fun! And I am very, very excited to read this book. I don't know what to say that's not just repeating things I've said for other books, but I am very, very excited to see this activism and this challenging of this quite bigoted frontrunner, and just this pulling together of community, and it's gonna be good. The next book I've got is The Passing Playbook by Isaac Fitzsimmons, which comes out on the 3rd of June. Love Simon meets Friday Night Lights in this feel-good LGBTQ+ romance about a trans teen torn between standing up for his rights and staying stealth. 15-year-old Spencer Harris is a proud nerd, an awesome big brother, and a messy in training. He's also transgender. After transitioning at his old school leads to a year of bullying, Spencer gets a fresh start at Oakley, the most liberal private school in Ohio. At Oakley, Spencer seems to have it all. More accepting classmates, a decent shot at a starting position on the boys' soccer team, great new friends, and maybe even something more than friendship with one of his teammates. The problem is, no one at Oakley knows Spencer's trans. He's passing. So when a discriminatory law forces Spencer's coach to bench him after he discovers the F on Spencer's birth certificate, Spencer has to make a choice. Cheer his team on from the sidelines, or publicly fight for his right to play, even if it means coming out to everyone, including the guy he's falling for. We've got sports gays, we've got more trans books. I'm loving how many trans books, and this kind of challenging transphobia and that's inherent in the system that we've seen. I'm just very excited to read that, and I don't know how much more I could say beyond the synopsis. I couldn't find any more information, but this just sounds incredible. I'm very excited to pick it up. I do love sports games and team dynamics and reading about soccer rather than football because I don't understand American football. And it's just going to be so good. I can feel it. The next book we've got is 1500 Miles from the Sun by Johnny Garza Villa, which comes out on the 8th of June. In a home where social conservatism, machismo, and masculine identity run deep, Corpus Christi, Texas high school senior Julian Luna is forced to keep his gay identity a secret. Jules' only focus is staying low the next 10 months and enjoying every moment he has left with his friends before college takes them on separate paths. Completely doable. Until Jules wakes up hungover and discovers he came out on Twitter in between tequila shots. In an instant, his entire life is thrown, literally, out of the closet. Helping him navigate the life that is openly gay Jules is Matt, a Twitter mutual from Los Angeles who slides into Jules' DMs. He's friendly, supportive, funny, and so attractive. He's the first person Jules says the words "I'm gay" to, and if he wasn't 3 states away, could definitely be Jules' first boyfriend. But a cute boy living halfway across the country can't fix all of Jules' problems. There's one thing he'll have to face on his own: coming out to his homophobic father. I am also very excited about this, and it just sounds so fun. I really do love this. According to the author's Twitter, it has got gay shit, drunk decision making, bilingual cussing, long distance romance, and the very best friends, and soccer. And so we've got even more sports gays. We've got a disaster gay by the look of it, and long distance pining. And I'm also very excited about the bilingual cussing because my Spanish cussing is not very good. It's something I need to work on and to improve. You've also got a cast that is mostly made up of characters of colour. I actually should have mentioned that for a few of these ones. And I'm also loving that we're getting that intersection between characters of colour, authors of colour, and queer stories. And I have got quite a few on this list that I actually haven't mentioned explicitly being by authors of colour with characters of colour, but they are there and I'm very excited to read them. The next book is also one of my absolutely most anticipated releases, and that is Ace of Spades by Frida Abike Emiede. This comes out on the 10th of June. The synopsis is an incendiary and utterly compelling thriller with a shocking twist that delves deep into the heart of institutionalized racism from an exceptional new YA voice. Welcome to Nivea's private academy, where money paves the hallways and the students are never less than perfect. Until now, because anonymous texter Aces is bringing 2 students' dark secrets to light. Talented musician Devon buries herself in rehearsals, but he can't escape the spotlight when his private photos go public. Head girl Chiamaka isn't afraid to get what she wants, but soon everyone will know the price she has paid for power. Someone is out to get them both, someone who holds all the aces, and they're planning much more than a high school game. So this book, it just sounds so good. So you've got Black and queer leads in this dark academia elite school setting, and just, right, I love reading and watching things that are set in these elite private schools for like rich people. It's got so much drama, and I don't know, rich people are just fun to watch. They just do so much weird shit. But then Frida is taking this and then giving it depth with this tackling of institutionalized racism, and I'm just very, very excited to see this. I feel like it's just going to be absolutely incredible, a new favourite. Okay, the next bit I don't understand, but I hope that you will appreciate, and that is that Frida refers to her main characters as Blair and Dan from Gossip Girl, but as just best friends, and that means absolutely nothing to me because I've not watched it, but like, hopefully this means something to you. The next book we've got is Darling by Kayla Ankrum, which comes out on the 26th of June. So the synopsis for this one is: a teen girl finds herself lost on a dangerous adventure in this YA thriller by the acclaimed author of The Wicker King and The Weight of the Stars, reimagining Peter Pan for today's world. On Wendy Darling's first night in Chicago, a boy called Peter appears at her window. He's dizzying, captivating, beautiful, so she agrees to join him for a night on the town. Wendy thinks they're heading to a party, but instead they're soon running in the city's underground. She makes friends, a punk girl named Tinkerbell and the lost boys Peter watches over. And she makes enemies, the terrifying Detective Hook and maybe Peter himself, as his sinister secrets start coming to light. Can Wendy fight the courage to survive this night and to make sure everyone else does too? So a queer, modern, dark Peter Pan retelling in Chicago. That sounds just incredible. I have not yet read Kayla's books, but they are so high on my TBR. I'm really, really looking forward to them, and I'm really, really looking forward to this one as well. Kayla posted a list on Twitter of some things that Darling will include, which includes By Tinkerbell, Nick and Nora's Infinite Police Procedural, Crime, Drag Queens, Chicago's Public Transit System, and Kayla's signature TM comedic stylings. Yeah, this just sounds so much fun, and I really, really cannot wait to pick it up. I know it's queer, I'm not exactly sure about reps other than that By Tinkerbell one that I've mentioned, but I'm sure knowing Kayla that it'll be very queer and it'll be very good, and I'm very, very excited. The next book we've got is Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson, which comes out on the 6th of July. The synopsis for this one is a stunning novel about being brave enough to be true to yourself and learning to find joy even when times are unimaginably dark. 3 days, 2 girls, 1 life-changing music festival. Tony is grieving the loss of her roadie father and needing to figure out where life will go from here, and she's desperate to get back to loving music. Olivia is a hopeless romantic whose heart has just taken a beating, again, and is beginning to feel like she'll always be a square peg in a round hole. But the Farmland Music and Arts Festival is a chance to find a place where she fits. The two collide and it feels like something like kismet when a bond begins to form. But when something goes wrong and the festival is sent into a panic, Olivia and Tony will find that they need each other, and music, more than they ever imagined. So this is the author of You Should See Me in a Crown, which came out this year and it was very, very well loved. It's on my TBR. I'm really hoping to read my copy soon. And this book just sounds so good, so incredible. I love that it's set over this very, very limited time period. I think you can do a lot of interesting things when the novel takes place during such a short period of time. Leah said on Twitter, when, I think this was during the announcement for the book, to the black girls in the back row at the live shows, to the queer girls still figuring it out, to the Midwestern kids who have yet to find a home in their bodies, it's time to press play on our happy endings. And I just love that. I love that so much. And yeah, I really just cannot wait to pick this up. The next book I've got is The River Has Teeth by Erica Waters, which comes out on the 20th of July. So the synopsis is, Natasha's sister is missing. Her car was found abandoned on the edge of a local nature preserve known as The Bend. But as the case goes cold, Natasha's loss turns to burning anger. She'll do anything to find answers. Della's family has channeled magic from The Bend for generations, providing spells for the desperate. But when Natasha appears on her doorstep, Della knows it will take more than simple potions to help her. But Della has her own secrets to hide, because Della thinks she knows the beast who's responsible for the disappearance, her own mother, who was turned into a terrible monster by magic gone wrong. Natasha is angry, Della has little to lose. They're each other's only hope. This sounds so good, so dark, and horror, and mystery, and this fantasy elements, and it just sounds so good. This is the author of Ghostwood Song, which came out I think this year. It's another one I'm interested in but haven't yet read. But I am so ready for this new book by this author. This has got some of my favourites, which includes Magical Angry Sapphic Girls. There's something about that that just gets me. I'm so ready to see that on page. And you've got an enemies to lovers relationship, and you've got witches, and it's gonna be so good. The next book I've got is Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Sugiura, which comes out on the 22nd of July. When Nozomi Nagai pictured the ideal summer romance, a fake one wasn't what she had in mind. That was before she met the perfect girl. Willow is gorgeous, glamorous, and heartbroken. And when she enlists Nozomi to pose as her new girlfriend to make her ex jealous, Nozomi is a willing volunteer. Because Nozomi has a master plan of her own, one to show Willow she's better than a stand-in, and turn their romance into something real. But as the lies pile up, it's not long before Nozomi's schemes take a turn toward disaster, and maybe a chance at love she didn't plan for. Okay, I know I've not mentioned covers much in this video, but cover. So pretty. So this one, you've got sapphic fake dating, but one of them has real feelings. And there's going to be so much angst and pining from that. I'm very excited to read that. From the author's Twitter, some of the tropes. FF fake dating, enemies to lovers, summer love quadrangle with a broody McBroody pants, 2 glam goddesses and a plain Jane, bicycles, rowboats, cable cars, yummy food, a formal gala, wishes and dreams, and lots of kissing. So this is like a love quadrangle between 4 sapphics. That's so cool. This just sounds like the perfect, fun and light-hearted summertime book. And I'm very, very, very excited to read it. This is definitely one of my highest on the list, to be honest. Hello again. No time has passed for you, but I just had to go to class, so sorry if we've got a slightly different angle or lighting or anything, but I'm back. So we've only got another 6 titles to do, so hopefully we can get through this quite quickly. The first one I want to talk about is The Witch King by H.E. Edgman. So this one and all the others I'll be talking about from now on do not have UK release dates as of yet. So this book is the first in a new fantasy series and it just sounds incredible, right up my alley. I'm very excited to read it. The synopsis is: to save a fake kingdom, a trans witch must face his traumatic past and the royal fiancé he left behind. This debut YA fantasy will leave you spellbound. Wyatt would give anything to forget where he came from, but a kingdom demands its king. In Asselin, Fae rule, and witches like Wyatt Croft don't. Wyatt's betrothal to his best friend, Fae Prince Emir North, was supposed to change that, but when Wyatt lost control of his magic one devastating night, he fled to the human world. Now a coldly distant Emir has hunted him down. Despite transgender Wyatt's newfound identity and troubling past, Emir has no intention of dissolving their engagement. In fact, he claims they must marry now or risk losing the throne. Jaded, Wyatt strikes a deal with the enemy, hoping to escape Aslan forever. But as he gets to know Emir, Wyatt realises the boy he once loved may still exist. And as the witches face worsening conditions, he must decide once and for all what's more important, his people or his freedom. I've seen this compared to the Cruel Prince, like as a gay and trans Cruel Prince, and like that sounds so good. And from the author's Twitter, if you're into gay betrothals, friends to enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine duos, monstrous fae, queer found family, and trans kids fighting the fuck back, you should read it. And like, that's just a list of the things I like. Like, we know I've said grumpy sunshine, I love friends to enemies to lovers, I love this betrothals and arranged marriages almost ideas, and queer found fam. And as I've said, the trans kids fighting the fuck back, like we've seen that in so many of these other titles that obviously in a very different kind of setting, and it's contemporary setting. And I'm just so excited to see it in this fantastical setting, and just overall very excited. The next book I've got is Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. So this, as of yet, does not have a synopsis, but it's got a deal announcement. This book follows 18-year-old Wu Zetian as she avenges her sister's murder in a patriarchal military system, where male pilots of giant magical mecha are treated like celebrities, while female pilots must serve as their concubines. So this has been pitched as The Pacific Rim meets The Handmaid's Tale, and it's a retelling of China's only female emperor. It's not in a historical setting or anything like that. This is a sci-fi book with characters who have been inspired by historical Chinese figures, and these giant magical mecha are based on creatures of East Asian myth, and it sounds so cool just from that perspective. I'm very excited. And then add in this, the central relationship in this book is poly. You've got an MMF relationship, and I'm just wow. I'm very, very, very excited to read this. Like, as I've said, I love love triangles, but you know what I love even better than a love triangle? A love triangle that ends in a happy poly relationship, and we're gonna get that. And I'm so beyond excited to read this one. This has been on my radar for so long, so it's just very surreal that it's now finally going to come out sometime soon. The next book is Off the Record by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich. This one's only so far got a very, very tiny synopsis. Two boys in America's biggest boy band who fall for each other while on their first sold-out European tour, and are forced to keep the relationship a secret by their record label, but slowly realise those in charge have no intention of letting them announce their relationship to the world. Ever. You know what? The secret relationships, the boy bands, the drama, it's gonna be so good. So I've only read a book by one of these authors, and that is Sophie Gonzalez, but I do actually have a copy of her other 21 release, which is perfect on paper, and I'm not including it in this video because I have that copy and will be reading it very soon and can talk about it properly then. But know that I am very excited. And the other author, Cale, I'm very interested in his books as well. They're very high on my TBR, I've just not gotten around to them yet. But overall, I think this duo, these two authors, will be incredible. And just want to clarify that this is fiction and not based on any real people. I know that a lot of people seen the announcement and went, oh my god, it's those people, and it is not. But yeah, this is going to be amazing. I'm really loving everything about it. I can't wait till we get to start seeing a full synopsis and a cover for this one. I think it's just going to be very, very cool. The next book I've got is Girls at the Edge of the World by Laura Burke Robson. So this is the first in a YA fantasy series, and it also sounds just amazing. In a world bound for an epic flood, only a chosen few are guaranteed safe passage into the new world once the waters recede. The Kostrovian royal court will be saved, of course, along with their guards. But the fate of the court's royal flyers, a lauded fleet of aerial silk performers, is less certain. Hell-bent on survival, Principal Flyer Natasha Kosakin will do anything to save the Flyers, who are the only family she's ever known, even if anything means moulding herself into the type of girl who could be courted by Prince Nikolai. But unbeknownst to Natasha, her newest recruit, Ellen Eves, is driven less by her desire to survive the floods than her thirst for revenge, and Ella's mission could put everything Natasha has worked for in peril. As the oceans rise, so too does an undeniable spark between the two flyers. With the end of the world looming and dark secrets about the Kostrovian court coming to light, Ella and Natasha can either give in to despair or find a new reason to live. So this is a romantic FF fantasy about aerial silk performers, and like, what more could I want? It's also a court intrigue, and I love some good court intrigue in a high fantasy novel. I just find it so interesting. And I feel like the stakes of the world ending is also just gonna add so much to that, and I'm just very, very excited to read this. I don't know what else to say. I don't have any more information on it, but I just really want to pick it up as soon as I can. The next book we've got is Like Other Girls by Britta London, and this is another one that I'm of course just beyond excited for. It's only got a teeny weeny synopsis. Teen lesbian Mara joins her rural high school's football team, and in doing so inspires 4 more girls to join, upending the boys' club culture and sparking a mini revolution. And like, I love that. So this is a butch lesbian taking down the patriarchy one high school football team at a time. Incredible! Show-stopping, what more do I need? The author also said on Twitter, "This is a very personal book about butch identity, rural culture, toxic male friendships, and unlearning internalized misogyny. It's also about how much fun it is to tackle someone." And I really love this. There's not very many books with butch main characters, and I'm very, very excited to read that. And I just excited. Again, we've got more sports games and team dynamics and things like that. It's gonna be so much fun. And just tackling these prejudices ingrained in society, and I'm loving this theme, okay? And the final book is another one I'm beyond incredibly excited for, and that is All of Us Villains by Christine Lynn Herman and Amanda Foody. These are 2 authors whose books I love. I just love that they're co-writing a book together and they're best friends. Like, it just gives me life. And it doesn't hurt that the book just sounds incredible as well. This begins a dark tale of ambition and magic. You fell in love with the victors of the Hunger Games. Now prepare to meet the villains of the Blood Veil. After the publication of a salacious tell-all book, the remote city of Ilvernath is thrust into worldwide spotlight. Tourists, protesters, and reporters flock to its spell shops and ruins to witness an ancient curse unfold. Every generation, 7 families name a champion among them to compete in a tournament to the death. The winner awards their family exclusive control over the city's high magic supply, the most powerful resource in the world. In the past, the villainous Lows have won nearly every tournament, and their champion is prepared to continue his family's reign. But this year, thanks to the influence of their newfound notoriety, each of the champions has a means to win, or better yet, a chance to rewrite their story. But this is a story that must be penned in blood. So it's this dark, magical Hunger Games inspired tale, and that just sounds incredible. Add in that you've got disaster buys and villainy and 2 incredible authors. It's just going to be fantastic. I also just love what I know about the setting so far. It's this modern world with all these fantasy and magical elements, like you can buy spells in a department store. Like, that sounds incredible. I really love that. And in terms of romance, I imagine it must be enemies to lovers given the circumstances. And I know that there are some, and you've got bi-main characters, and it's gonna be so fun. There's gonna be so much tension and angst, and gonna be incredible. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this video here because that's been a lot of books, a lot of talking, but I really hope that you have enjoyed, that you're excited about some of these books like I am. I'll leave Goodreads links to all these books in the description if you want to go add them yourself, and there will also be social media links if you want to follow me elsewhere. And please, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like, leave a comment, or subscribe if you haven't. It really helps out. And yes, thank you very, very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you with another video soon.